what I can do for them. Even though I know that we can help anybody to expose or give them more visibility for their businesses and what they do by putting them on the radio. What I want to do is I want to identify and get to the core belief of a business owner. The essence of what I'm about to tell you is something that not very many people do, and it's a hugely valuable sales tool. And it's not my original idea. It comes from a speaker by the name of Simon Sinek. And you can find Simon, he's written books and he's got YouTube videos and all that kind of thing. But this is the story of the Golden Circle. Anybody heard of the Golden Circle? Okay. If I get off track, you can straighten me out. Every organization, every individual can tell you what they do. Some of them can tell you how they do it. You know, their distinguishing features, their USP, whatever it might be, their unfair advantage in the marketplace. But very few people can tell you why they do what they do. And so when you look at organizations that always beat their competition, it's because they think differently. Instead of thinking on the outside of that golden circle, and if I had a chart here I could draw it for you, but the outside part of that circle is the what, inside that is the how, and in the middle of it is the why. People don't buy from you because of what you do, they buy because of why you do it. So if you can get to the why, and when I sit down with business owners and I talk to them about that, often they struggle with that. Even though they're successful and they've been doing this for years and years and years, they can't kind of put it into a nice message of why they do what they do. So the story I want to share with you, a couple of them, is about Apple Computer. Everybody knows Apple. And every year, they're always ahead of their competition. Their products seem to sell better. And the question is, why is that? If, for example, there's other computer companies out there, Dell, for example, they make great computers. Why can't they keep up with Apple? Well, the answer is, Apple thinks from the inside out. If I were a standard salesperson, I might say to you, yeah, we make computers, they're nice computers, they're light, they're shiny, they do a lot of great things, they have extended memories and batteries and things like that. You want to buy one? That's the way most people think, the outside. Apple says, and this is at their core, and we really want to think of the word believe when you're talking about your core. It is your belief system. Apple believes that in everything they do, they challenge the status quo. And that belief is instilled in every employee. They are rewarded for innovation, for new ideas. The way to look at that is to say to someone, everything I do, everything my company does, I believe we do to challenge the status quo. We make computers that are fast, they're light, they have a better resale value than any other computer out there. We are Apple Computer. Would you like to buy one? So that's the kind of the different approach. So when I think about the radio station and how we're able to identify that core belief or the why, well then how can we help a business? And that is, once we are able to convey, or rather to identify that message, that core belief, we're able to turn it into a message and convey it to the public in a clear, simple way. I always wear these. The radio station, I wear them opposite ways. Can you see what that says?
No.
Well, it says you matter. And that's really our core belief. 94 FM The Fish believes you matter. You make a difference. So if I need to be reminded that I matter, I look at this one here. And if I want somebody else to remind them that they matter, I turn it around and I hand them out to people. I was talking to somebody not too long ago who was a little upset. She said, you know, my boss passed me over for a promotion. And my daughter's coming into town and there's a convention and I'm not gonna be able to spend any time with my daughter. I've gotta go work at the hotel. And she says, I just feel like I don't matter. So I gave her one of these. Aside from the radio station, just to give you an idea of something else that I do, my wife and I own a boutique fitness studio, actually two of them. One in Mount Juliet and one in East Nashville. It's called Serenity Fitness. And we were talking about our core belief and the why and what we do when we consider scheduling classes and hiring instructors and certifying people in certain methods of fitness. And somebody came to me one day at one of the studios and said, "Your wife saved my life." She went on to say that, you know, she was stressed out and she was eating poorly and not sleeping well. Well, I took that to heart and I thought to myself, that should be our core belief. Serenity Fitness, at Serenity Fitness, we believe that we can save a life. You see how impactful that is, how personal that is? When we put Serenity Fitness on the radio station and started running ads a few months ago, my wife and I started thinking about what do we want, what kind of message do we want to put into a 30 or 60 second spot? And it has to be personal. And if you listen to 94 from the Fish, you may hear that spot. That's my wife talking on the radio. And she starts out by saying something very personal. She says, by the way, my wife's a breast cancer survivor, 7 years cancer-free, praise God. She says at the beginning of that ad, "I know what it's like to feel like you cannot get through the rest of the day. I know what it feels like to be so tired that you can't even get out of bed." I'm Karen Boynton. I'm the owner of Serenity Fitness in Mount Juliet in East Nashville. I realized that I'm a breast cancer survivor. I realized I needed to do something for my life. And then she goes on to talk a little bit more. But you see how someone maybe who's driving down the road who would hear that message would notice, stop and say, "She's talking to me. That's me. I'm a breast cancer survivor," or "I'm exhausted," or "My kids are driving me crazy." So it just registers in a very personal way. Last story I'm going to share with you. Who in here does not know the story of the Wright brothers? What do the Wright brothers do? Yeah, powered air flight. Well, the story is that, how many of you knew that they owned a bicycle shop? Did you know that? The story is that the War Department decided that they wanted to get behind the idea and try to come up with a flying vehicle. So they identified a person they thought would be really good at putting this together. His name is Samuel Pierpont Langley. Samuel Pierpont Langley was a very smart guy. He worked at the Smithsonian, he had a seat at Harvard, and he was very connected to all the great minds in the world. And the War Department decided to make it easier on him. They give him $50,000. $50,000 in 1902 was a lot of money. Well, and he got all the press because the New York Times followed him everywhere he went. It was an exciting time. Well, there are the Wright brothers. They have no money. They're not educated. Nobody on their staff had a college degree. But people will buy into what you're selling if they believe in what you believe in. And so what they did, the Wright brothers, they surrounded themselves with people who believed in what they believed in. The story is that they would go out into the area to wherever it was, the beaches, to test their plane. And they would bring 5 or 6 sets of identical parts because they estimated that's how many times they would crash before they got home for supper. And they tried and they tried and they never lost the belief. So December 7th, 1903, they got airborne. And because there was no press there, we didn't hear about it for days. What do you suppose Samuel Pierpont Langley did? He quit. Told him to the War Department, "Take the money back. It's already been done. I'm not interested anymore." I mean, he could have told him, "Let's make this plane better. Let's improve it. I've got money and I've got the endorsement of the War Department." He didn't believe in it. That's the idea. That's the point. He did not believe in what he was doing. So, and nobody really remembers Samuel Pierpont Langley. Kind of a blip in the history of this country. So, that's what I want to share with you. Help your customers understand their core belief, the why of what they do. And they will look at you as a consultant, as a partner, much more than they will a salesperson.